Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching this brief ag forecast brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Looking here first at our month-to-date precipitation ranks by climate district, we can kind of tell that there's still been a large section of the United States here in the southern plains and over here in the mid-Atlantic, getting down to the Carolinas, that have really missed out on a lot of the recent precipitation. I'll show why in just a few seconds here. But this does extend through Kansas into parts of Missouri. But over the weekend, there were places down here coming out of eastern Oklahoma through the mid-south that picked up 1 to 6 inches of rainfall. Also some bigger storms down here along the Gulf Coast. But my concern is about how dry things have been over here in the western part of the southern plains, because that is an area that when we look at the latest soil moisture values, we still see a large region in through here that has soil moisture values that are down here below 2%. Now that dryness does extend into the western Corn Belt, and again you can see what it looks like over here in the mid-Atlantic back toward the Appalachian Mountains. Now thinking about this, where are we going to be seeing improvement in the next not only 15 days but all the way through the month of January? I got an answer for that here in a few moments I'll share with you. But I think the biggest change is going to be happening in the west. You see, lately across the west there's been quite a bit of snow. This is looking at the snowfall, accumulated snowfall departures from average all the way through December the 20th. And again, you're looking at inches compared to normal. And you notice that there's a large area from the front range of the Rockies getting all the way to the Appalachian Mountains, but cutting through the Midwest into the Northeast, where we've just not had the snow yet this year, and it's very late in some places. We've had a bit of a snow deficit in the central part of the Dakotas into Montana as well, but that one system that snuck right in through here really helped to bring up the snowfall values in this region. Now the west, we got a lot of blue, indicating some much above average snowfall. In fact, there's some peaks in the Sierra Nevada that are already over 100 inches in surplus, and that's in snow. And I want to show you the effect of that right now by going through the state of California, looking at different areas and talking about precipitation compared to recent amounts. Now take a look at this. The Northern Sierra 8-station precipitation index, we're here in California. We're currently sitting at 23 inches right there. Now look, all of last winter, they only had 24. So we're just an inch behind where we were last winter. And we still have the rest of winter to go through. We're kind of matching pace with the 82-83 year and the 2016-2017 year. Let's slide south of there and get down into the San Joaquin precipitation district, this region, this 5-station region here. 13.2 is where we currently sit, right there. All of last year we got 18.8, so we're about 5 inches off already. So this is fantastic news. In the Tulare Basin, farther to the south, we're sitting right on the climatological average. All right, but you compare this to 2020 to 2021, we're only about 4 inches away from where we were. So that's great for California, and here's been the reason why. The ridge has been parked off the Aleutian Islands. There's been a low just to the west of Hawaii, and the flows come around that like that. That's what brought that strong southerly flow there when we talked earlier in the month about the events in Hawaii. But this is what the main beast of the jet stream's done. It's run up over a ridge here. That's kept the southern plains dry. It's kept parts of the Carolinas dry. But the flow has just come in out of the west and run along the U.S.-Canada border. That's been the setup we've had. Now, where's it going this week? Well, this is Christmas Eve. And what you see here is still split flow, big ridge going up toward the Aleutian Islands, a piece of the jet stream coming out of the south, and everything just comes together here. So this is going to do a lot to pack up the snow in the central Rockies, but it's going to, along the way, hit the west coast hard. But with that big ridge sitting in place there, by the time we get to the end of this week, a very mild end of the week is going to be coming through the southern and central part of the United States. In fact, take a look at this. That's the temperatures on Friday, December 24th. Now, just want to let you know something. There is a big front sweeping through at that time. You'll see it in a few moments, but big warm-up out ahead of it is possible, again, where temperatures are going to be upwards of 20 to 30 degrees above average. Now, let's stick with our longer-term discussion here as we move through the middle part of this video. Our La Nina has peaked. We are now starting to see indications that it is fading, and the MJO transition seems to be the main driver of the forecast coming out of the tropics. What are we talking about? We now have easterly winds over the next 15 days in the Indian Ocean. We have westerly winds at times, okay, coming out here where we had once had the nose of the strong trades. So that means the flow's going like that. The net effect is a lot of subsidence in the atmosphere right here for phase 3. We talked about this in Thursday's video. We said because this La Nina has reached its peak, this middle part of the ocean is starting to warm up a little bit while we're still seeing Nino region 1+2 hanging on to its really cold bias. But with the fluctuations we're getting in this La Nina now having peaked, we're going to see that the MJO is going to respond to that subsidence in the Indian Ocean by favoring phase 7. Now, what's important about phase 7 of the MJO, should it stay there through the month of January, which I'll call that into question because that's a long time to spend in one phase here, but should it stay over into that region, the result is this precipitation and temperature forecast. There's a lot of cold air in Canada, and the models will start to develop a deeper trough in this area, bringing in snow to the western mountains, but a more active central United States over to the Ohio River Valley storm track. So that cold air comes through the Great Lakes and into the Northeast at times. If there's a region that stays mild, it's farther to the south. That's what I expect to see in the month of January. Precipitation-wise, now you see it. Drier here where that ridge really begins to build in, but then the flow comes down like this. So we see snow coming in. Take a look at it on the east-facing slopes of the Sierra Nevada and Cascades, coming into the Rockies, and then the flow ejecting into into short waves that'll cut through the Mid-South into the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley. We'll get clippers out of this. But the problem I have with this is that it's not a setup to draw a lot of moisture back into the plains from the Gulf. And that therefore this area, the likelihood of it getting above normal precipitation moving forward is limited. And I don't like that. This is an area I don't want to see drought developing. There's another component to this, and that is the polar vortex. Now, right now, it's sitting right here, just in this part of the North Atlantic. And these winds are very strong coming around this. But there are some indications that polar vortex, watch it with me, it's sitting right here in the blues. We see that getting out here toward the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th of the month. Now do you start to see that there's a stratospheric trough here? It seems to be linking up with a tropospheric trough in the same area. And while I'm not calling this a polar vortex disruption, we have both the stratosphere and the troposphere kind of in alignment with where that colder air is going to be. And it's not just the European model. I showed you that a few moments ago, letting that cold air out. Take a look at it again. It's not just the European saying that cold air is going to be able to advance into the west and cut across, for example, the Midwest into the Northeast. It's also here in the CFSV2. Because by that kind of first full week of January, look, we're now bringing that cold air farther to the south. And then the week following, it's even farther south there. So if there's going to be a place that stays mild, I think it's going to be way down south. But we're going to get shots of cold air that are going to come through. Now, my own forecast verification, I tried to bring that colder air out too soon. I just kept thinking it was going to get out there, and persistence hung on, keeping December quite mild. In fact, take a look at this. That's the December temperature ranks by climate district. So I'll come back to that in a second. First, let's go ahead and recap what's going on in the near term. Multi-model analysis, as we normally do here. GFS on the left, European on the right. A couple things to watch. We're going to see in both models a system coming out of the Gulf Coast, cutting through Florida in the southeast, and then try to produce some snow in the northeast here. We're going to see multiple little clippers running across the U.S.-Canada border, and several systems diving out of the Gulf of Alaska into the west. There'll be a hole in the middle where things stay on the drier side. And so now that you've seen that, let's play it forward. Going here into tomorrow on Tuesday, that's the first system rolling through the southeast. It's in both models. A clipper comes through the Red River Valley in the north, hits northern Wisconsin. See it? That's the first one. And while that's all happening, the west coast has its first low cutting down through here, and it's coming multiple times into the west just with onshore flow out of the west, adding up all that precip. Now, as we said, we were expecting by Wednesday night that low that started in the Gulf Coast to be here, possibly spreading some snow from New York and Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine and the Canadian Maritimes. Both models have it. But you see now what's going on in the west. Next trough digging in the west on Wednesday into Thursday. Little clipper rolls through the Canadian prairie, and we have possibly a very heavy snowfall event on the 23rd into the 24th right here in the Rockies. So if you got ski plans into the Rockies, we're going to need some fresh powder there for you. Now, next clipper rolls through the Canadian prairie, links up with a low coming through the Midwest. This would be at noon on Christmas Eve. And that's going to bring a front really quickly through the Midwest. So I showed you those warm temperatures on Christmas Eve. They're going to be early, and then cold air is going to come in quickly behind that. This is going to put a pretty broad warm sector here, though, and some pretty heavy rains. But then snow spreads into eastern Ontario and into Quebec and into the northeast. Now, here we are out there on Sunday. And I told you the west just going to have multiple systems curling through. This is the next one coming through. And as it does so, both models have very active throughout the Intermountain West. I'll show you the snowfall totals in a moment. But there's some indications in the models that we have that next wave coming out through the Midwest. Interestingly enough, the European's faster with it. The GFS is slower. See, the GFS doesn't bring it out there till Monday midday. So a little bit different timing on the next system that follows that. But let's stitch it all together and get some numbers here. I'm going to go first to the WPC forecast. So this is the effect of the Gulf Coast low. Our clippers rolling through here. Much of this is going to be snow, although some rain will get into Michigan and into this part of Ontario. All of this to the south will be rain. But the west really adding up quite a bit. Parts of California's Sacramento Valley, better than 1.5 inches. You get up here and toward the coastal area, we're talking 5-6 inches of rain. And the liquid equivalent in the mountains is up to 9 or 10 inches. Notice where it is drier in this area, though. Now, since we're talking snow, this would be through midnight on the 26th. So I'm showing you here where we expect the best chances of grabbing another inch of snow are going to be. So maybe you can call this your white Christmas forecast. Where that snow is going to be deep enough to do some sledding, this would be the probability of getting 3 inches of snow between now and December 30th. So I stretched this out to the 10-day forecast. And if you're looking for even deeper snow than that, probability of grabbing 6 inches of snow between now and December 30th. Looking at the European model, though, that will give us a clue as to what the West could possibly be getting over the next 10 days. There is the chance of 4 to 6 feet of snow in the Sierra Nevada, Klamath Mountains, and the Cascades. The Northern Rockies added up, the Central Rockies added up. Who misses out is down here farther to the south. Other than that, the heavier snow corridor on this side of the Rockies is in the Northern Plains, in the Canadian Prairie, but coming through Ontario and kind of culminating here in the Canadian Maritimes. Both models are pretty consistent on that. Where's the pattern going to week 2? Well, that trough ridge pattern slides east. So if I just take this out there to the end of week 2, this ridge was once here. It's now moved east. The trough is now open and pushing across the United States, and there's no large ridge here to push it back to the north. So the net effect of this on the precipitation side is that ridge moves over, it's drier. It dips down into the western part of the United States. We're putting a lot of snow here in the Great Basin, the Central Rockies. And then those waves kind of come out here and eject into the Mid-South, into the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. And boy, that looks very similar to our forecast I showed you earlier on precip for January, doesn't it? So we're already starting to see that as we get out here to the very beginning of January. Temperature side of it. I showed you this kind of a sneak peek a few moments ago, but it is mild. It's been very mild in the month of December so far. But take a look at what these temperatures are going to do. We're going to add to the heat here, but subtract from it in the northern plains. These were the high temperatures today on Monday. I'm recording this in the evening on Monday, but look at Tuesday. The mild air starts to show up in a big way in the midsection of the country. There's Wednesday into Thursday the 23rd and Friday the 24th. Now, remember, that front's sweeping through here quickly. So by the time we get into Saturday, it's already in position. See that? So we're cooling back off, but in a big way in the northern plains. 2 degrees, 4 degrees in parts of Montana and North Dakota. And the west stays in the deeper trough the whole time, so you see the cooler anomalies there. But then as we go into Sunday, take a look at that. -3 in this part as a high temperature on parts of Montana. So that cold air is sinking south. So we look out there day 5 through 10 and we can see it, right? Now you can start to see where the temperatures are up to 30 degrees colder than normal, push in this direction. But that ridge over Mexico, keeping much of Texas and the south over to the southeast, 10 to 20 degrees warmer than average. The collision zone is here. And that lasts all the way out there into the day 15 forecast. If there's a mild area, it's going to be the southeast to the south. But cold in the west, and that cold air is going to get let out at times. And that's pretty consistent in both the GFS and the European. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there. Hope you have a good week. I'll talk to you on Thursday. Thank you.